basically there's two ways you can do it. I can just build a tree. You can tell me who your parents are, grandparents, and we can build a tree based on records. But then sometimes, and then you might get that tree and be like, that's my family. But then sometimes if you do DNA, that may not match up to what the records are actually saying. So there might be some illicit relationships. There could be some things that you don't know about. And, so it's important. Doing your DNA is a good way to get all that to kind of match up.
Yeah.
And
makes sense.
you find some, mad relatives and stuff like that. I've done so many now. And like you say, it's a laborious task. It takes a lot. People always say, "Oh, do my family tree for me tonight. See if I'm related to so and so." I'm like, mate, it's not that easy. I don't just click a button and I can see your entire family. You have to look through records and stuff, and it takes a lot of time. But I do enjoy it.
Are you still taking on customers for this?
Yeah, I'm still taking on customers, but people think that it's like, what is it, like 20 quid and you'll do me tree? And it's like, nah, it's
like you pay by the hours.
You're paying, you're paying for the time basically, and the amount of hours that I've put into this for you guys is huge, and I could literally keep going for like.
Can you do me a favour, Danny? Will you send him the invoice?
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling a bit like.
Do you know how rich he is? You'll find out. He actually owns that castle that you're on about.
We could actually buy it and start a new business from there. So it's been mad. I found some crazy like family secrets.
What's the maddest thing that you found on people's? Go on.
Can you tell us the thing that he was just talking about outside? Without
is that the most extreme story?
No.
Give us the most extreme.
No.
Like...
So I found a few people have said about finding certain relatives. Like I didn't know who my dad was. So that's a big one. Sometimes I've had a couple of occasions where people's parents aren't actually, who they think.
Laura, imagine if there's dad in as dad.
You guys are safe. You are safe. I'm going to say that.
I thought I was going to get a new dad today.
The funny thing about that is, though, because that kind of like, if you've got to break that to somebody, that's almost like you would need training, really. Like grief counseling, training. It's to say, like, sorry, mate, it's not your dad.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, all the people I've had to break it to, the parents have actually been deceased. So it's been a little bit easier. Yeah, you don't have to have that conversation then because. Like, I didn't realise when I'm starting this, obviously there is a lot of, I had someone message me, like a disgruntled person message me the other week because I was in contact, one of my clients had done the DNA and I was in contact with someone in another country who was their relative, their close relative, and they were trying to find their father, which I managed to locate. And because I was speaking to this other relative, asking questions about what they knew about that side of the family, another family member from there messaged me and said, "Can you please stop asking? You've gone too far," or whatever. And I'm like, whoa. But I did uncover a few sort of family secrets that maybe didn't want to be
it's a good job you're hard, isn't it? It's a good job you're solid.
But I mean, I won't go into the details of what I did, and it's actually one of the earliest trees that I started, and it's one of them that's been ongoing all this time, and it's one of the best ones that I've done in terms of the results, because I literally, someone who didn't know who their father was, I literally found out who he was, where he was, and now they are in contact with his sister, and they also found that they have a sister that was unknown.
Wow.
And so they've met each other now. They've got loads in common. They look similar. They've named the children the same names. The children had the same occupations. It's like they've led a parallel life.
That must be quite rewarding then.
So when that happened, I was like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's one of the best. That's one of the most rewarding ones I've done, because it was literally a guy. Again, I won't go into the details, but it was a guy who turned up, had a kid, disappeared, maybe told a few lies about who he was, and I'll give you the I'll just give you the name that he gave, because as soon as this person messaged me and asked me about, potentially finding the father, and they said they didn't know who he was. They knew the location. He wasn't born here. He was born in a different country, which is obviously tougher as well, because the records are different in different countries. But he'd given the name Bill Oddie. That was the name I was given. I'm like, I don't know who my dad is. is this guy, you know, this and this. There was some information in there about where he was from. And then the name I was given was Bill Oddie. And I spat my cup of tea out and I'm like, listen, I'm telling you right now, the guy's name is not Bill Oddie. It's like they must have just been watching, you know, TV. And
that was like on How I Met Your Mother. Have you seen that programme where he's watched it? The main guy on, like, I don't know, The Price is Right. His mum was like, that's your dad. So all his life he's like, that's my dad.
Yeah. So yeah, Bill Oddie. So I managed to track down Bill Oddie. And
he wasn't called Bill Oddie.
He wasn't called Bill Oddie. He was, yeah. But there's always a slight bit of truth in you know, when people use like a fake name. There's always some reason.
Yeah.
You know,
he liked owls.
Yeah.
What's Bill Oddie into?
So he was actually called William. He was actually born William. And yeah, so anyway, we traced him and you know, we got some really good results. And again, that's still ongoing. There's still new family members cropping up and stuff from the DNA, which is really cool.
It's wild, isn't it, that?
Yeah.
So what's the worst then? What's the worst you've come across? Or like the worst experience of this? Dare I ask?
Yeah, I mean, I had one person from the gym who you will know very well. I did his father's DNA. He did his DNA, wanted to find out about his heritage or whatever. And this guy was born in Grimsby.
Nice.
Yeah. So docks, right?
I'm sorry to people from Grimsby.
And he was born during World War II in Grimsby. So, you know, this guy's my dad, this guy's my mum. Start building the tree. He's done his DNA, and I get 0 DNA hits to anybody on his paternal side. So that's a bad sign. You know, if you get 1 or 2 hits to like grandparents, great-grandparents, there's some connections, you know you're on the right track. You're at least in the right family. But yeah, I got 0. So I'm like, this is not good. Then when I look on his DNA, his top DNA matches are all in America. And there's a certain family name that kept cropping up. So I asked him, like, do you know this family name? And he was like, never heard of it. And I'm like, well, these people are like very, very closely related to you. Like, you know, you can get sort of predictions of how someone is related to you. I'm like, this guy's either like your uncle or your half brother. You know, it's so close. Anyway, so what I did is some people put their family tree public and you can look at the tree and stuff like that. So luckily one of these guys in America had his tree public. So I started looking at his tree and I thought, what if I start to build this guy's tree based on that this family is his family? So I made a few assumptions and started to build a tree. DNA hits started to come in. So I'm like, right. So this is his real like paternal family here. Managed to find out who his father was. His father had passed away, but it turned out his father was an American sailor in World War II, and I even found the log of him docking at Grimsby around about the time that he would have been conceived. So it's like there was the paper trail, there was the DNA was matched perfectly then to who I thought was his dad, his brother. So I contacted his half brother and said, listen, this is the stuff I've got. And then he was like, listen, no, I think, when was they born? They was born sometime in the 40s. And he was like, no, my mum and dad got married in 1937, so it can't be true. And I'm like, yeah, your mum and dad got married, but your dad was over here in the 40s and he had another child. Like, there's evidence there. And he was like, no, they were married. No, I'm not having it. And he just blocked me. And I was like, ugh. So it's sad sometimes, but obviously people don't want to hear that, do they? That, you know, your dad were messing around or whatever. And I've had other people who found similar things out, which we were talking about before, and they was really happy to find out about this other part of the family that they had. Yeah. But yeah, it's not for everyone. So there is a risk. There is inherent risk.
Isn't it nuts? It's like we went into this like really like naively.
Yeah, like
fuck it, yeah, let's do it.
I could have got your DNA and just be like, yeah, you've adopted, you've got no family.
It wouldn't like bother me. I look too much like my fucking dad. I'm sorted on this. Like maybe my mum's not my mum. I don't know, but I think I've got pictures. But that wouldn't crush me or something. Or like if I found out like my sister wasn't related to me, I'd almost be fucking relieved. You know what I mean?